Hello and welcome to video number 10 in my series of Lessons in Awakening. And this video is all about the power of willingness and getting out of denial. Okay, I see denial as being one of the biggest blocks to our evolution, our ascension, our spiritual path, growth, however you want to view it, the Great Awakening. Whatever words you want to use to explain what's going on and our growth as humans and the expansion of our consciousness. So I see the denial as being one of the big blocks, and I also see the energy of willingness as being key to unblocking that block, if I can word it like that. So let's start from an energy perspective. The energy of willingness. So in order to do that, I'm going to share once again my trusty chart, the chart of consciousness. There it is. So looking at this chart of consciousness, we've looked at it before. So if you haven't been back and looked at the Lessons in Awakening number 1 to 9, please do so, because there's a lot of overlap going on, obviously, and I'm kind of building on what we've already done. So here is the chart of consciousness. Here you can see a number of emotions, or you could call them states of being, and you can see the frequency at which they are calibrating or vibrating. So you can see that love is higher than fear. Okay, and so as we evolve, as we grow, we're kind of moving up this chart. As we raise our vibrations and expand our level of consciousness, we're moving up this chart. And we've already looked at and talked about how the bottom half of this chart, when we're in contracted states of being, fear, anger, we're in places of suffering, we're actually vibrationally matching with situations of suffering, because like attracts like. We've looked at all of that in previous videos, so please go back and have a look. But you can see that this is a contracted state. Now, we obviously want to expand. The universe is expanding. We want to expand into higher levels of consciousness. So have a look at this chart and see where that expansion starts. You can see that it starts at a like neutrality, courage. Okay, so this is the courage that we need in order to face all sorts of things. And courage and willingness is a little bit, there's an overlap here. Courage is also about stepping out of denial. Courage is also about facing vulnerability, which is a really relevant point here. So having a look at this chart, you can see that willingness, just by being willing, we already have an effect on the collective, because one individual vibrating at the frequency of 300 counterbalances 90,000 individuals who are vibrating below 200. So that is all these people living in fear. Just by you being willing, just embracing the energy and frequency of willingness, you could actually counterbalance 90,000 individuals below 200 on this chart. This is all from Dr. David Hawkins and his studies that he did, and these figures are from his book, Power versus Force. If anybody wants to look that up, I shall put a link in below in the description. So looking at this willingness, basically you can see that willingness is the gateway to expansion, and it's the gateway to living in the flow. You can see this on the chart. It's the gateway to love. I mean, however you want to view it, just by choosing to be willing, it's going to be enough to open you up, I want to say, to an expanded state of awareness, an expanded state of being, and basically to living in your divine flow. Okay. So one of the things that I love recommending to people, especially on the self-love path. We've also looked at self-love, so go back and have a look at the video on that. And I think I mentioned it there. If you're struggling to love yourself and you're wanting to use the affirmation, I love and accept myself, and you're struggling with that because you're not in alignment with it and it's actually bringing up for you reasons why you don't love yourself, then use the word willing. It's so powerful. It's energetically powerful. You can say, I'm willing to love and accept myself. And you will be willing to love and accept yourself, otherwise you will not be watching my videos. You will not be drawn to anything that I'm doing unless you are willing to raise your vibration and willing to learn to love yourself. So you can use willing. I'm willing to love and accept myself. I'm willing to be deserving. I'm willing to feel worthy. I'm willing to trust myself. Okay, these are major, what I call the big ones, the life-changing beliefs to install. And as I said, if the I trust myself is a big one, I am worthy, these are big, powerful beliefs to install into your energy field. So if you're on the journey and you're struggling with that, I'm willing to trust myself. I'm willing to be loved. I'm willing to love and be loved. I'm willing to give and receive love. You know how powerful? Can you hear? Can you hear the energy behind that? I'm willing to receive. I'm willing to grow. I mean, willingness is so powerful on so many different levels. So I wanted to share this chart so that you could actually see how it is quite literally the key to enlightenment, the key to your spiritual growth. It's the key to raising your frequency. It's the key to expanding you into love, I want to say, and joy and flow and harmony and all these beautiful, beautiful states of being. So willingness to surrender, willingness to be wrong, willingness to be right and not glorify in it. There's all sorts of willingness, willingness to push yourself into discomfort, maybe, because stepping out of your comfort zone is key, I think, in moving forward. And so just a willing to change, willing to shift your beliefs, stubbornness, rigid thinking. This is what's holding a lot of people back. So like I said, willing to be wrong, willing to shift your thinking, just willing to heal, willing to be, willing to learn. There are so many ways you can just use the word willing, just willing to try things differently, willing to listen to other people's perspectives, willing to not judge. All sorts of things. And one of the most important ones is willing to be vulnerable. The power of vulnerability. Now, I see this very much closely linked to willingness to get out of denial. So getting out of denial is something that comes up a lot in my line of work with my clients. It's easy for us to be in denial. We've pushed our shadow side down so much, we've disassociated with it, we don't want to believe negative things about ourselves. But when you understand that there is no right and wrong, there is no right and wrong, and there is nothing more empowering than actually admitting sometimes that you were wrong, okay? There's a relief to be had. Especially when you're surrounded by loving souls, loving people who are not going to judge you. Because the people outside of you are not going to judge you if you don't judge yourself. Because we know that there is only you are the whole universe in one human being, and everything that you're experiencing in this physical world is a reflection of a part of you. So if you have got untrustworthy people around you and you're moaning all the time about how deceitful some people are, from a quantum physics perspective, and I'm not saying this with judgment, but from a quantum physics perspective, it is impossible to have anything on the outside of you that is not already in existence on the inside of you. Now you're going to think, hang on a minute, I attracted this situation, maybe with a person who was, let's say, for example, I'm going to use jealousy as an energy. You might have had this really negative experience, perceived negative experience with somebody really jealous. And you're going to be like, well, I'm not jealous like that. They were really jealous, right? I'm not, that's denial, because I'm not saying that you were as jealous as they are, but what I am saying from a quantum physics perspective, and I'm no expert in quantum physics, but just understanding energy and how it works, okay? We have 50 trillion cells. We know that because Dr. Bruce Lipton told us, right? And he also told us that our biography becomes our biology. We store in the cells of our body all our experiences, our emotions, and all the emotions that we have attached to traumas in the past. We hold it all in the cells of our body. Also, it's 2021, and a lot of us have come here to heal not only ourselves in this lifetime, but to do past life healing, ancestral healing, collective healing, cultural healing. There's so many different levels to our energy. Okay, so you may not remember being jealous. For example, I'm using that as an example. You may not remember being jealous in this lifetime, or you may just have a little tiny bit. But you're carrying energy, inherited energy from your biological parents, ancestral energy, cultural energy, collective energy. It's so much. So it's easier just to accept, yes, I have 50 trillion cells in my body, and perhaps 1, 2, maybe even 3 of those cells have some jealousy in them. Okay, that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean it's your overriding emotion. Okay, and it's the same whether we're talking about anxiety or grief or guilt or shame. See, guilt and shame, we all have a little bit of that, but we don't overall feel guilty or shameful, right? But out of 50 trillion cells, it's possible that you have a little bit of it, and you could be healing it on behalf of the collective, right? We are all everything. We are everything, okay? So what's happening is that when that, using jealousy as an example, when that jealousy comes up and it wants to be acknowledged and not suppressed, okay, and it was Sigmund Freud that said unexpressed emotions never die, they just get buried and they will come back later in uglier ways. And this is a good example of how they do come back later in uglier ways. So if those 3 cells of jealousy haven't been dealt with or acknowledged at least, then it's going to be reflected back to you with the frequency of jealousy. So it's just coming up for your awareness, okay? But it's going to come up for your awareness in a way that really helps you, because you're then going to create a scenario in your life with somebody who's very jealous, and it's going to be perceived as a negative experience. Because that frequency of that jealousy is going to be reflected back to you. So the person who's helping you with this enlightenment process, so we need to thank them and express love and gratitude, not resentment. Got it? So that person, they could have an overriding emotion of jealousy. So they might have many, many more than 3 cells out of their 50 trillion cells that are full of jealousy, okay? It could be their main dominant emotion, right? But it's still resonating at the same frequency as your 3 little cells. Do you see what I'm saying? So basically, when we are complaining about something on the outside of us and pointing fingers and blaming and stuff like that, then that's us in denial. That's us in denial of understanding that we are creating it all, and everything on the outside of you is a reflection of a part of you. So this is where being in denial is futile. It's not helping you in your own growth. Now, I'm going to go into this in more detail in a later video about understanding triggers, because that's going to be really relevant for that. But for now, I just want to talk about getting out of denial and just accepting. Just accept. I often do this when I'm working with the emotion code with clients, and an emotion comes up, and I can see automatically their conscious mind is going, they don't like that emotion. Let's say it's anxiety, and they pride themselves on being such a chilled person, maybe, I don't know. So their conscious mind is going, oh, anxiety. No, I don't think I have any anxiety. No, and that's just 10% of their mind, because the conscious mind is 10%, the subconscious is 90%. Why would you use your 10% to deny what's happening in the 90%? Why would you do that? Denial is futile. You know, why, when you get to a certain age, would you deny having a trapped emotion of anxiety? Why would you deny that? I don't. This is really important that we step out of denial. We incarnate with inherited trapped emotions. We incarnate with ancestral issues to heal. Okay, the birth process in itself is traumatic. Hopefully that's something that's we're working towards changing, obviously, in the new earth, and waking up to how childbirth really should be. But that's also another subject. But what I'm saying is why it's anxious. It's an anxious time for mother and baby. So why would you be in denial about having a trapped emotion of anxiety? I mean, some people are like, I don't have any trapped emotions. I'm okay. That's futile. That's just denial completely. I mean, why would you not have trapped emotions? You know, we come from a culture whereby we're taught not to cry. Crying isn't good. We teach children not to be angry. You know, of course we have suppressed emotions. We might have felt jealousy and we perceive it as a very negative emotion, so we haven't expressed it. There's numerous reasons, and I've talked about that before in my previous videos about the emotion code and the power of emotions and the importance of emotions. So why would we be in denial when an emotion comes up of jealousy, anxiety, grief, or shame, or guilt? You know, why? I mean, even just being a mother, we talk about something, mother's guilt. You know, most mothers automatically feel guilty about all sorts of things because we're never quite good enough, are we? You know, that's all part of it. So why would we ever be in denial of having trapped emotional energy that is not serving us? So one of the best ways out of denial is to just fling your arms open, look up to the heavens and say, I am willing. I am willing. And I don't care if you feel stupid, it does not matter. Who are you talking to? You're talking to yourself, because there is only you. There is only you. You are everything. You are source. You are the creator. You know, you are the universe. So you just fling your arms open so that you do that. So your heart opens and you just go, I am willing. I don't even know what I'm willing to do. Just I'm willing to open up to the universal energies. I'm willing to open up to more knowledge, more understanding, more light, more love, more joy, more harmony. I'm just willing to shift beliefs that are not serving me. I am willing to accept and release and not be in denial about any emotions that I have that are not serving me. Just willing to change, willing to grow, willing to be vulnerable. Sometimes we have to hold ourselves up and say, yeah, I felt wrong at the time. There is no right and wrong. But if you felt wrong, you will feel guilty, right? But if there's no right and wrong, how can you ever be guilty? You see, open up to all these different ways of looking at things. And when you realize that there is only you and everybody outside of you is reflecting a part of that back, it makes it a lot easier. So just fling your arms open. You can write it in your affirmations, write it in your gratitude list. You know, willing to love, willing to learn, willing to grow, willing to step out of denial. Just take it all on board, take it on the chin. Yeah, I have these trapped emotions. I'm releasing them now. I had this rigid thinking. I had this limiting belief. Yeah, I used to believe this. I was wrong. That's big at the moment. Okay, you used to believe something and now you realize that it wasn't true. It's okay. Think of that picture of a cylinder. One person is here. It's a circle, and one person is here. It's a rectangle, They were both right in their own way at the time, at their level of consciousness, but now fling your arms open. I'm willing to grow, willing to look at things from a higher perspective, willing to look at things from a more expanded level of consciousness. You look down and you see it was a cylinder. There is no right and wrong, you see? There's just willingness to see things from a higher perspective, willingness to just let the stuff go that isn't serving you. There is no shame, there is no guilt, there is no right, there is no wrong. There's just you. And your future lies in your frequency. So fling your arms open, embrace the frequency of willingness, and you know that you are serving the collective, serving you. It's your gateway to expansion. I love you all. See you in the next video. Bye for now.